get the best job possible, so that you can also make that additional $3 million. So when dealing with credit, one second. Credit gives you the ability to buy things today, but pay for them later. But remember, when you take out credit cards and borrow, you have to pay that money back, and you have to pay it back with interest. That is how these companies make money. They charge you for using their money. Pull out your smartphone, take a picture of this screen right here. I'm not going to have time to go into detail on every single one of these definitions, but I want you to do your own homework. Google a couple. I'll actually cover a couple in just a minute. But how do you build credit? All right. They want you eventually, and don't do this all at once right now while you're in college, but eventually you want to get up to having at least 3 open lines of credit. They call them trade lines. It can be a mixture of a car loan, a credit card, and a home loan. It can be 2 credit cards and a car loan. It can be 3 credit cards. They just want you to have a mixture of up to 3 lines of credit and have those open and paid on time for at least 6 months. We're going to cover how to build your credit score in just a moment. All right, take a picture of this screen, plan your financing. The first thing that you all need to do is take a look at your credit report. Some of you have never looked at your credit report. Some of you do not have credit cards. That's fine. But how do you know someone hasn't already stolen your identity without building credit in your name? The way that you do that is pull your credit report. That top line right there that says annualcreditreport.com is what you all want to remember. Not Credit Sesame, not Credit Karma. Those only give you 2 credit reports, and they're partial credit reports. At annualcreditreport.com, you get all 3 credit reports free. You want to make sure that there is no wrong information on your credit reports. If there is, you want to make sure you correct those errors before you apply for any types of loans, whether it's another credit card or a car loan, etc. Make sure that all the mistakes on your credit report are gone. Take a picture of this screen because you want to know what loans to ask when you do, or what questions to ask when you do loan agreements, like what's the specific loan payment? Is this payment go towards principal and interest, or is it just one or the other? Some payments can be an interest only payment. You never reduce your principal, you just pay on the interest. Also, is there a prepayment penalty? Yes, some companies penalize you for paying off a loan early. So you just want to know what the agreements are whenever you take out any loan. Now, what are the pros and cons with using credit? The pros are simple, convenient. It makes your life easy. It can help cover emergencies even if you don't have the cash. It can help you build up assets such as buying a home and it grows in value. And the better you do now with your credit, the more credit you can build to use later. The cons are, again, it's convenient. So sometimes we're not disciplined enough to not touch it because it's so easily accessible to us. So that means you can be tempted to spend even if you don't have the cash. It limits your ability to save and invest. It increases the cost of an item because of that thing called interest that we talked about. And it's a constant drain on your resources because you're using up your future earnings by paying interest. So economic benefits of good credit. It lowers your interest rates. Again, interest is how banks make money. Anytime someone loans you money, whether it's through buying a home, buying a car, credit card, anytime these financial institutions loan you their money, they will charge you for that. The lower the interest rates, the better you are because that's less money you pay back to them. Right now, car loans are actually at 0%.
I'm just gonna invest in like a lot of eggs.
Gonna need
Beautiful.
It looks so beautiful.
everybody, please mute your phones or computers. Thank you. So right now you can buy a car at 0% interest. That means you're not paying them any interest on the car. Some car companies get paid in volume. The more cars they sell, the better they do. So they're not interested in trying to make money off the loan itself. But you have to have good credit to get a 0% interest rate. Same thing on home loans. Right now, home loans are at historic low interest rates, around 2-3%. That way you pay less money over time if you have good enough credit to get that very low interest rate. And we still have some people that need to mute their computers and phones. Also, it gives you ability to get more credit. Bad credit gives you higher interest rates on loans if you can get them at all. It's limit your resources. And here's a big one for especially you all in school. It limits your employment opportunities. Yes, they now pull your credit report when you go apply for jobs. So you can be the most dynamic, best looking, most qualified person, but you won't get the job because you have a messed up credit report. Let's make that not an issue when we go to apply for these jobs. Also, higher insurance premiums if you want to get insurance on your car, and it can just be hard to get credit, period. The difference between debt and credit, debt is the total amount that you owe. If you add up your total student loan, the total value of your house, the total value of your car, that is the total debt that you have. Credit, on the other hand, is the ability to borrow money and repay the amount that you borrow. Let's get into credit cards. Credit cards are an open-ended account that allows you to borrow money and pay it and up to an established limit. So if you get approved for a credit card, you may have a limit of $1,000 or $5,000 or $500. That is the only amount of money you can put on a credit card. If you have a $1,000 limit, you can't go over that. It carries an unpaid balance every month. All you have to do is pay the monthly minimum payment in order to keep that revolving account going month after month after month. But you also enter into a loan agreement to repay the person that or the company that issued you the credit card. And again, you give up the future use of your money because that's going towards paying interest. I always tell people, know who you do business with. You do not do business with Visa and MasterCard. Nope, those are privately traded companies or publicly traded companies on the stock market. But if it says Bank of America Visa or US Bank MasterCard, the banks are who you actually do business with. It's important to know that because those are the people that are charging you the interest. And you need to know what amounts are they charging me and how these things work. So traditional bank cards, the traditional Visa and MasterCard are issued by banks, savings and loan associations, and credit unions. They do have the monthly revolving amount. They do have the set limit. So those are what traditionally we refer to as your bank credit cards. The charge cards, on the other hand, are travel and entertainment cards. They usually don't have a limit, but you have to pay the balance at the end of the month. The Green American Express card, if any of you have ever seen the commercials, and please mute your computers or phones. I hear birds chirping and everything else. But the Green American Express card, that is not a credit card. You cannot keep a monthly revolving balance on that card. You can put whatever you want on it, but at the end of the month, you have to pay the full thing. If you charge up $5,000 this month, you have to pay all $5,000 when the bill comes. Retail credit cards, those are some of the ones with the highest interest rates. So be careful when you go to apply for retail cards. And every time you go to a store, they try to get you to apply for a credit card while you're checking out. Would you like to save 10% today? How would you like to do this today? They always are going to push their retail cards on you. These are the ones issued by businesses, department stores, gas companies, and airlines, but they're limited to the goods and services of the card issuer. So I can't get a Macy's card and take it to Best Buy and purchase things. If I get a Macy's card, I'm limited to only buying things at Macy's. But again, be careful because those have some of the highest interest rates. I do want you all to write down this one, secured credit cards. I want you to Google secured credit cards. What a secured credit card is, it's an account held by a credit card issuer, and let's say I send them $300. They're going to send me a credit card with a limit of $300. Now, people are like, well, if I have the 300, why do I have to do that? Well, I travel quite a bit. And when I go to get my rental car, it doesn't matter how much cash I have. What do they want? They want the piece of plastic. They want the credit card. When you go to a hotel and you try to check in, they're going to ask for a credit card for incidentals every time you check in. So in 2021, you need some type of credit, and a secured credit card is a great place for you to establish credit or rebuild credit if you have messed up your credit. Now, I know it's happened to none of you, but I was the guy my freshman year of college at Arkansas State University. I applied for 50 credit cards my freshman year. Yep, I sure did. And this is very important. I need you all to write this down. Don't do that, okay? So my freshman year of college, I totally jacked up my credit. Nobody sat me down and talked to me about credit like we're doing for you all right now. Don't do that, okay? But by the time I graduated college, 6 months after graduation, I took the worst credit report you probably ever seen, and I turned it into a perfect credit report. One way that I did it is by using secured credit cards. Remember I told you they want those 3 open lines of credit paid on time? I was able to use some secured credit cards, and I'll show you what else I did. But that was a good place for me to start, and I was able to rebuild my credit just like that. The last one is affinity cards. Oh, and when you guys Google secure credit cards, there are some good ones like Capital One has a good one, Citi has a good one, but be careful. There are some secured credit cards that charge 90% interest. I did not stutter. They charge 90% interest. Don't do it, okay? Affinity cards are cards issued jointly by a lending institution and another organization like a charity or a college alumni association. So if you all get a credit card from the university and it has Tuskegee all over the front of it, every time you make a purchase, a percentage goes back to the university or whatever company that you have their credit card. Those would be affinity cards. Now, when choosing a credit card, take a look at different options. Get one of the big ones, Visa, MasterCard. And again, remember I said you're working your way up to 3. Don't run out and grab 3 or 4 all at once because it's easy to spend, but hard to manage sometimes. Make sure that you compare the different terms and conditions. Competition among card issuers is strong. The banks are begging for business. So always make sure you shop around for the best rates. Look at fees. Always read the fine print at the bottom. Definitely take a picture of this screen. I won't have time to go into it, but thank you, President Obama. The Credit Card Act of 2009 started back in 2009, but has gone into effect over the years. A little bit has happened over the years. And the reason I want you to pull it up is so that you can look at all the different credit card law changes since 2009. One of the big ones, if you hadn't noticed, you don't see credit card companies hanging around campus anymore. When I went to college, credit card companies were everywhere. Fill out this application, you get a free t-shirt, beach ball, or whatever it is. They stayed on campus and begged everybody to fill out these credit card applications. Under the new law, they can no longer hang around college campuses. Also, if you're under 21, you need a cosigner or proof of your ability to pay that debt before they will issue you a credit card. Yep. So there are some other things like they have to notify you 45 days before any type of rate or fee changes. So there are a bunch of different laws that have gone into effect, but I want you to take the time and Google that law, the Credit Card Act, and take a look at the different ones themselves. Now, here's one that happens to get people in trouble sometimes, using your Visa debit card, not a credit card. All right. If you have a bank account, you have a Visa debit or a MasterCard debit card with your bank account. We go to the store all the time and we use it. We swipe it, swipe it, swipe it. But when you go to Walmart and it asks you that really important question, credit or debit, how many of you use debit? I can't see the hands, but I'm sure it's quite a few of you. How many of you use credit? All right. Here's what I want you to do. Don't ever use it as a debit transaction again. Never, ever, not once, 0. All right. Don't ever use it as a debit transaction again. Only use it as a credit transaction. It's the same money coming out of the same bank account. It does not turn your debit card into a credit card. It simply alters the transaction. Okay. One of the big issues we're having, and I'll get to in a second, is identity theft. And one of the ways that these criminals are getting your information is your PIN number. Yep. Those magic 4 numbers are not your friend. Only use your Visa debit at your bank and your bank's ATM. Other than that, avoid it as often as you can, okay? If you're a victim of identity theft and you call up a credit card company and you say, hey, I haven't seen my credit card since Thursday at 8 o'clock, anything after that's not mine, they say, great. They cut off the credit card, they issue you a new one, and you may get that in about 2 or 3 days. But if you call your bank up and say, hey, I haven't seen my debit card since Thursday at 8 o'clock, anything after that's not mine, they're going to say, okay, we have to investigate. Now, that investigation may take 2 weeks, it may take 90 days. So just imagine you going 90 days without being able to get a hold of your money. Yep, you're eating cream of wheat 3 times a day and your bills aren't getting paid, so life is not good. So remember, don't enter your PIN number if you don't have to. Yes.
Mr. Creighton, I am going to mute everyone and ask you to unmute. And then the last thing is there's a statement in our chat that says something to the effect, does it have to be a Visa or any company? And then something about using cards at the gas pump. Is it the same? So bear with me.
All right. So, not sure what you mean by does it have to be any Visa? What was the question again?
The question was, does it have to be any Visa card? And I guess it was something to the effect of when you were asking or saying, don't use your Visa card, don't put your PIN number in, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, any bank's Visa debit or MasterCard debit. Remember, it's the card linked to your bank account. So yes, don't use your PIN number if you have a Visa debit or a MasterCard debit card with your bank, okay? That's how these thieves are getting your PIN number. Now, go along with the same thing. Gas stations, great question. All day long, people take that card and stick it into gas stations. But when you get to pay, do credit. Same thing, always use it as credit. Criminals have a thing called a skimming machine, a skimmer. They stick it over the gas station pump. You don't even know it's there, okay? Your card still goes in and out. They come back later. The thieves come back later and they take the skimmer off of the gas station pump, and gas stations are one of the highest places for identity theft. And they can take your credit card information and put it on a dummy credit card, but they can't get into your bank account unless you give them your PIN number, all right? I do these workshops all over the country. I was down at Xavier University in New Orleans. I drove when I got the call from DC. There was a big snowstorm and she's like, can you do a workshop at Xavier? I said, yeah, when? She said, tomorrow. So I had to drive down to Xavier, and on my way back, I stopped in Memphis to get gas. I use my credit card. I teach this stuff, and by the time I got 20 minutes away from the gas station, I got a phone call from my credit card company asking, did I buy gas in Miami? So yeah, they got me just like that, all right? And no, I didn't use my PIN number, but remember, they can take that same credit card information and put it on a dummy credit card. So they were doing things like buying DoorDash and junk like that on my credit card, but my bank caught it. They cut the card off real quick, reimbursed me anything that they did, and I kept it moving. So even as simple as that. I know it's hard, but carry cash. Yep. And people are like, well, I could lose my cash. You could lose your plastic too, but it's not as hard. Nobody can steal your identity off a dollar bill. One of the biggies, there are a few biggies in credit. I need you guys to understand this one. Take a picture of the screen, write it down. Understand your debt to limit ratio. Whenever you all go to buy a car or go to apply for any type of loan, home loan, the bigger loans, you have to know your debt to limit ratio walking in. What your debt to limit ratio is, it's the outstanding debt in regards to your limit. This situation, I have a $1,000 credit card. That's my limit. The most I can put on it, $1,000. I charge $300 on it. My debt to limit ratio is 30%. If I charge $450, my debt to limit ratio is 45%. What if I charge $750? What's my debt to limit ratio? 75%. You guys got it. But here's the point. It doesn't matter if you pay your credit card bill on time every single month. If your debt to limit ratio is over 50%, your credit score still goes down. Yep. Is that fair? Nope. But you know what it is? It's a new rule to the game. They want you to keep your debt to limit ratio under 50%. So remember that if you go to buy your first car or another car, they will calculate what your debt to limit ratio is. They run your credit report and they can see all your credit cards and any payments that you have on your credit. So they can see what you owe and they'll calculate it. If your debt to limit ratio is over 50%, it will hurt you. All right. Come on. Let's talk about your credit score. This is how companies partially how companies grant you credit. When you all use things like Credit Karma and Credit Sesame, you get a free credit score, but that is a Vantage credit score. The problem with that is 99% of the companies don't use the Vantage score. They use a FICO score. FICO scores are right here. I'm going to keep it simple. Write down 700 and up. Keep your credit score at 700 and higher. If you do that, you can have confidence that if I go to a car dealership, I'm gonna drive off this lot with a new car, okay? If I apply for a home loan, chances are I'll probably get approved. But how do you calculate your credit score and how do you get it to 700? First thing that we talked about, 3 open lines of credit paid on time for 6 to 24 months. They want to see on-time payments for 6 to 24 months. And a debt to limit ratio under what? Yep, we already said it, 50%. So take a look at the screen. Your payment history, those on-time payments, make up 35% of your credit score. That debt to limit ratio I just covered makes up 30% of your credit score. Those 2 little things, paying on time and keeping your debt under 50%, make up 65% of your overall credit score. The credit history, meaning how long have you had credit, makes up 15%, okay? So the longer a person has established good credit, the better it looks on their credit report. When I applied for 50 credit cards, one of the issues with applying for 50 credit cards is every time you apply, it reduces your credit score. Those are called inquiries. Now, there are 2 types of inquiries. There are hard hits and soft hits. A soft hit is you checking your own credit. You can check your credit as many times as you want to. It does not hurt your credit. If you get a solicitation in the mail for one of these credit card companies saying, you know, you're pre-approved for whatever, 0% or whatever credit card, those are soft hits. They do not hurt your credit. The only time a credit inquiry is considered a hard hit is when you give someone authorization to pull your credit report. You either sign some piece of paper application, or if you apply online, you have to click on the box that says, I authorize blah, blah, blah. That's the only time they can pull your credit report. And that is a hard hit. And it stays on your credit report for 2 years. All right. So by me applying for 50 credit cards like a dummy, that destroyed my credit just on the inquiries. And the last one is types of credit in use. What they want to know there, is it secured or unsecured debt? Is a car loan a secured loan or unsecured loan? Think about that. If you don't pay it, what will they take? They take the car. So the loan is secured by the collateral of the vehicle. A home loan, it's secured because, well, they won't take the house, but they'll kick you out. Credit card, little piece of plastic, is that secured or unsecured? Unsecured. That piece of plastic isn't worth anything, all right? And some people have really good credit and they can walk into a bank and say, I need $10,000. They sign their name and they walk out in form of what we call a signature loan. Unsecured debt like that is looked at worse than secured debt because there is no collateral, all right? Risk factors are key. Generated when a risk score is calculated. What is a risk factor? That is the risk that you are to the lender. Tells a consumer what to address on their credit history to become more creditworthy, largely inconsistent from model to model, etc. Let's see. We talked about the credit scores. I need you to keep it above 700. If your credit score drops down to maybe 650 to 625, you still might get approved for the loan, but your interest rate goes way up. All right. So remember that 700 benchmark. Keep working, keep paying on time, keep your debt low until you get it over 700. Now, being in college, these are some serious decisions you have to ask yourself, because these are the years where we think, well, in college, you're there for a reason. Graduate. All right. That's it. But in college, we want to do things that we don't really have the money for, but we want to get the new J's or do whatever we want to do. But really ask yourself, do I really need it? Am I buying it because a friend bought it? Am I buying it to impress somebody? Can I really afford it? Am I good with finances? Remember what I talked about at the beginning? Everything that we're discussing has to do with your habits. All right. People crack me up because they're like, I just need cash flow. No, we all have cash flow. It flows in and it flows out. What you need is cash stick. When it flows in, I need it to stay. How we do that is by changing our habits from spending everything we get to start saving and investing what it is that we get. Because always remember, guys, there's something called long term. If you save it now, later on, when you all graduate, because you didn't buy the extra pair of Air Force Ones or whatever, you might have enough money saved up to buy your first home. But you got to start saving and investing now in order to do that later. So remember the questions to ask yourself: do I really need it? Do I pay my balances each month, etc.? And know the danger signs of financial trouble. Do you miss any payments? Have you reached your credit limits? Do you work extra jobs just to cover your bills? Do you depend on your parents to cover your bills for you? And do you borrow from friends and relatives to cover basic expenses? Do you find it impossible to save money? Do you use credit card cash advances? Oh my goodness. Don't ever use your credit card cash advances. All right. So again, you have a credit card limit of $1,000. A lot of credit card companies will allow you to go to the ATM and pull out either half or all of that $1,000 in the form of a cash advance. Yes, they will. The problem with that is they charge you a much higher interest rate for using it as a cash advance card instead of an actual purchase. So again, always remember, when you use this stuff, think about the decisions. Was there another question? Can't hear you.
There are 3 questions.
Okay.
You want me to ask them as they come? Because I was just sort of waiting.
Yep, throw them at me.
Okay, so the first question that was asked was, is it true that your credit score decreases when you pay off a credit card and close the
Yes.
account?
Not so much when you pay it off, but when you close the account. The answer is yes. So why? Again, what you all need to understand about credit, nothing makes sense, nothing at all. But it is a rule to the game. They do not want you to close that account. If you close it, your credit score will drop. But if you have other credit cards and you, again, pay on time, keep the balances low, whatever it dropped by, you can build it back up. It's just, do you want that drop in the beginning? So if you're disciplined enough, sometimes people pay it off and just cut it up and throw it away. That way they don't ever touch it. All right. But yeah, it can hurt your credit. What else?
What's a good credit score for someone with their first credit card?
Again, you want to keep it 700 and higher. Now, if you have not built credit, your credit score is not going to be 700. All right. You have to build it up to that. So I don't even, and here's the thing. You and me can have the exact same credit cards, pay the exact same time, but our credit scores will not be the same, right? When you pull, there are the big 3, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Those are the big 3 credit card companies. Your credit score won't even be the same between those 3 companies. It's going to be different with every company. So I don't even know what your credit would be if you've never had credit before, but when you pull your credit report and when you apply for your first credit card, remember, as long as you do those basic things, it will go up gradually, but it will go up. So they're not going to say this is a good credit report for a new person. They're just going to look at the credit report and score, period. So again, 700 and higher. What else?
What's the easiest way to build credit for the big first purchase?
3 open lines of credit, paid on time, 24 months with the debt to limit ratio under 50%. That's it. If you do those things, and again, guys, remember, They're going to look at the credit score. They're going to pull your credit report to see how many open lines you have, how much debt you have, and if you're someone who pays on time. That's just part of your application process. You can't just go to a car lot and say, I got great credit, I need to get that car. The next question they're going to ask is, great, let me see your last 2 paycheck stubs. Do you have any income? You need a job, you need income. And if you own your own business, they're going to want the last 2 years of tax returns. Okay. I know that because I own a car dealership. When I bought my house, they didn't want to count the income I had from the car dealership because I didn't file 2 years worth of tax returns. So those are the things that they're going to want. But how do you get those big purchases? That's how you do it. What else?
What's your opinion on investing in stocks?
Great. We're not covering that. Only for upperclassmen. Is that an upperclassman that asked that question? Go back in the chat, whoever asked that question, if you're upperclassman, yeah. But we're doing the workshop, tell them, on the 10th, and we're going to cover investing. We cover credit and budgeting.
It says no, I'm a freshman.
Okay, freshman, we cover credit and budgeting. That's the first place. Until you get the foundation, we're not going to cover investing, because the answer is yes. I believe in investing. I know all about that. We're going to cover a lot about investing. What I do want you guys to be careful of is the Robin Hoods of the world, is the Bitcoin, Dogecoin, GameStops. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Like TLC said, those are waterfalls. Everybody that I know in your age group who has chased those things has not done well. Okay. We need to talk about the foundation before you start chasing the risky stuff. All right. Let's get back to credit real quick. How to damage it. Pay late, miss payments. Okay. And when you all miss payments, that stays on your credit report for 7 years.
Yes.
Right? Up to 7 years. Now, I'll cover some things on how to get rid of it. All right. Next one. Late payment on cell phone bills. When you guys pay your bill on time, does that show up on your credit report? Nope. But what if you miss your payment? Does that show up on your credit report? Yep. It goes to collections. All right. Remember, it's a rule to the game, not fair. I pay on time, it doesn't show up. But when I'm late, it shows up. All right. Any account transferred to collection agency does show up on your credit report. Negative information, period, stays on your credit report for up to 7 years. And for anyone who tries to file for bankruptcy, that can stay on your credit for up to 10 years. And as sad as it is, you guys, I've had college students come up to me after these workshops that have had to file for bankruptcy at 18 years old. Unbelievable. Don't do that. All right. Avoid getting in credit card debt and trouble as often as you can. We talked about it stays like, oh yeah, the last one, financial stress. You guys have to get your good grades, pass your exams, find some internships and summer jobs, declare majors, graduate. You don't need financial stress added to all the other stuff you have on your table right now. We talked about how to request your credit report. Those are the big 3 right there in the middle: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They do not give you your FICO score for free. You will have to pay for your FICO score. Some of you may have accounts with things like Experian, Boost, and some of the other services that these credit card companies offer you. Those services are not free. You may have to pay a monthly service of $8 a month or whatever for Experian to manage your accounts. But when you do that, they will give you your FICO score for free. But it's not free because you're paying a monthly service. So remember that if you want your credit report, your credit score, you'll have to pay for it. Look at your credit report and find out if there's any information that's wrong. If there's information that's wrong, you can dispute that information. Any information that stays on your credit longer than 6-7 years, they got to take it off immediately. Any bankruptcy information more than 10 years, it has to come off your credit report. How do you do that? All right, here's how I fix my credit. First thing that you do is make sure the information is accurate. There were some things that weren't accurate. I disputed it. You can dispute 3 ways, guys. Pick up the phone, call the 800 number, write them a letter, or go to their website and dispute online. It gives you a spot that says dispute. You say this account isn't mine, or this account is not accurate. It shows that I have a balance, but I paid it a long time ago, and they have to update it. They have to update it in 30 days. Everything on your credit takes place in 30 days. Your billing cycle, 30 days. When you dispute an item, 30 days. Remember, everything on your credit, 30 days. You contact your lenders. So the information that came back on my credit report that was negative, I picked up the phone and I called the lenders. I made them an offer in compromise. I said, look, I owe you $1,000, okay? So if this is you, here's how it works. You have a $1,000 credit card, you charge it up to the max and you never make a payment. Eventually, they're gonna, after they're done sending you all the letters and threatening and all that, they're gonna write that debt off as a bad debt. But you can call that lender because at that point in time, they're not expecting you to pay any money. But you can call them up and say, hey, how you doing? I owe you $1,000, but you've been messing up my credit for the last 3 years. So I'm gonna call us even today. How about that? I'm gonna send you, I wanna settle that $1,000 debt in full for $300. I'll pay you 30 cents on the dollar in order for you to change that to paid in full. Anybody think they'll take it? Don't know. They may come back and say, we can't do $300, but we can do 4. Regardless of whether it was 3 or 4, you just saved yourself $600 to $700 in paying that debt off. It will reduce your credit score some, and it shows up on your credit report as settled for a lesser amount. But remember what I said, you got that debt off of your credit report. Then you get a secured credit card or something else, and you start paying on time so that those payment histories start going back up pretty fast. And I ended up getting 3 secured credit cards all at once, and I paid on time every single month, and it boosted my credit in just a short period of time. But you contact the lenders, you make new arrangements that they agree to. Before you send them a penny, make sure they send that to you in writing, all right? Whether it's through email, through mail, say, okay, I will agree, because they may say, oh, we'll agree to 300, but you can pay us 100 over the next 3 months. Perfect. Once you send me that in writing, I'll send you the first payment. All right. That's how you do it. There are companies out here, guys, that charge you $2,500 to do what I just told you. Don't pay them. Pick up the phone, contact your lenders, and just negotiate yourself. You can do it yourself. Ways to maintain and improve credit: limit your spending to needs, not wants. Remember, credit cards are loans. Pay those balances. Keep your debt to limit ratio under 50%. 30 is better. Keep a record of your transactions and decline any credit limit increases. Always pay on time. If you can, sometimes it's better to pay more than that minimum. If you have a credit card and your monthly minimum payment is $10, you may pay them $15. Just pay them a little bit more. Oh, this is great. I'm going to go. So real quick, I just want you all to think about it. What are some good things to put on a credit card? All right. People say, well, emergencies. All right. Well, emergencies are different to different people. Some people, an emergency is my car breaks down. Some people, emergency is I need a new outfit for the club on Friday. So you have to think, what is a real emergency? I hear people say gas, food, going out. Okay. How long does it take for your car to burn gas? Pretty fast, right? How long does it take for your body to get rid of food? Don't answer that. Just think about it. So why would I pay interest for months and years on something my body got rid of in 24 hours and my car burned in a week? Those are not good things to put on a credit card. Anything of limited use, food, gas, hanging out, party, those do not put on a credit card. But what about books? You need those to graduate, pass your class, okay? A real emergency. As I said, my car broke down. I have a relative who's ill. I need to get a plane ticket to get home. That's an emergency. Educational expenses, maybe a new computer. You could, if you put a credit card or a computer on your credit card, that computer can last you all 4 years of college. That's a good purchase, all right? Or somebody may have a job interview coming up and you may need a new suit for an interview or something like that. Okay, that's not a bad item to put on a credit card, but not food and junk, all right? Ways to curb your card usage: limit the number of cards that you own, lock them up, create a budget for yourself. Put a reward system in your plan. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's say each semester you do a good job on your credit cards, and at the end of the semester you do a little something to treat yourself. No, don't go crazy. Maybe you do buy that pair of tennis shoes or something like that. But sources to reduce the debt. A lot of you all graduated high school recently or whatever. You may have gotten all these envelopes with a whole bunch of money. Don't go blowing it. Use that to pay down any debt you might have. If you have a part-time job and you get an income tax refund, again, don't go partying and shopping. Use that to eliminate the debt. The faster you can graduate college with no debt, the better your life will be. Anytime someone gives you gifts, if you get a raise at your job, or if you get a bonus or something like that, or some of you might be really savvy and you buy and sell stuff on eBay, Craigslist, things like that, you can make a lot of money doing that. If you do that, use those funds to reduce the debt and start saving and putting your money away. Ways to limit your spending. Eat the fine cuisine at your college dining hall. Enjoy free activities on and off campus. Volunteer at some of the free activities, and if you do that, you get to see the activity for free. Take advantage of any coupons, clubs, offerings, and things like that. Put a coffee machine or buy beverages for your dorm room. I think you guys have soda machines around campus, right? They probably cost, I don't know, $1.50, $2, whatever. And you're not getting a 2-liter out of that machine. You're getting a little bitty 20 ounce. So I could pay $2 in a vending machine, $1.50 in a vending machine for a 20 ounce, or I can go to Walmart and buy a case for $3 or $4. How many's in a case? 12. Do you see a difference? So it's impulse buying. Our favorite 2 words is people, it's only. It's only $2. It's only $5. But at the end of the month, you wonder what happened to all the money. Well, it's only it to death. So start developing habits, guys. Keep drinks in your dorm room. Some of you all may get together and buy these things together. 3 or 4 of you get together, you chip in $1 a piece, you get a case of drinks for your room. Go where your cash can take you, not your credit. Know your credit status. We talked about understanding by checking your credit report, finding any errors, etc. I want you guys to Google this one. Google budget template or sample budget. You'll see a whole bunch of different sample budgets. I want you all to start working on creating a budget for yourself. And all it is where the money's coming in, and keep track of where it goes. If you can't print off a sample budget, then do this. Every month, whenever you buy anything, whether it's a soda or a stick of gum, write it on a piece of paper, 50 cents, $1, throw it in a shoebox. At the end of the month, I want you to go add up everything in that shoebox, and you'll be amazed at how fast we nickel and dime ourselves to death. So start now. Remember, guys, the habits you create for yourself now will be habits that you can maintain the rest of your life. What's on your credit report? Your payment history, amounts owed, linked to credit, types of credit, accounts and collections, charge off, repo, vehicles, and any legal actions filed against you in court. What's not on your credit: race, religion, medical information, driving and criminal records, political preference, your banking information, and your credit scores. That is not on your credit. Rental history is also another biggie on your credit now. Yes, when you go to rent an apartment, there's now such a thing as your rental payment history. If you guys don't pay your monthly payment on your rent, it will affect you when you go to apply for other apartments. All right. So make sure that you pay on time. Take a picture of this one. This just shows you roughly how long information stays on your credit report. We already talked about bankruptcy, credit inquiries, 2 years, etc. Take a picture of that one. Now the UltraFICO score. This is offered by Experian and some other companies. So you can now add things like payments, your monthly bills to your credit. So now you can add things like paying on time with this, bank account, stuff like that, your utility bills, etc. Those are what's called, they can also boost your credit score a little bit. But again, that's only if you really need it. I would say go back to what we've been talking about, maintain your good payment history, keep your debts low, et cetera, et cetera. And if you do that, you should be fine. But if you want to go apply for a car and they said your credit score is 10 points low, maybe using the Experian Boost or the ultimate UltraFICO score can give you that bump to get those 10 points that you need. Identity theft, very important. We talked a little bit about it. Fastest growing crime in America. Most incidents involves family members, friends, and paper mail. Why? Because they're the ones that are around you all the time. Some of you right now have friends that come to your dorm room or your apartment, and you got your stuff all over the place, personal stuff. You got your computer open, you got stuff. Guys, don't trust anybody. Nope, do not trust them. Get a Foot Locker if you don't have one. Lock up all your valuables with the biggest lock you can find. Keep track of your stuff. Now, it can happen, like I said, it happened when I went to get gas. The biggest place we're seeing identity theft is restaurants. Yep, because when you hand the waiter or waitress that plastic, as soon as they turn around and you can't see that card anymore, you're done. They can make a copy of it, get information off. They can do what they want to do. It's restaurants. So if you have to pay with plastic, pay with credit, not debit. Remember what we just talked about. And carry cash. Use cash. Yep, I'll keep saying it. Use cash. But if you feel you're a victim of identity theft, if somebody gets your information, they can go to another state and buy a condo, car, home. They can use your information to do that. If you're a victim of identity theft, take a picture of this screen, get a hold of the Federal Trade Commission, 1-877-ID-THEFT, let them know. Also, you can set fraud alerts on your credit report sometimes, on your bank account sometimes. That way, if you can have them notify you if there's any requests for any new credit, things like that, they can do that. Mine is set up so when I travel, I have to call the company and tell them I'm going out of the state. So that way I'm not in Miami swiping my card and get embarrassed because it gets declined. So I have to let them know when I travel that if you see a purchase, it's probably me. Take a picture of this screen. This is the big three: Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. All right, feel you have issues, get a hold of them. I'm going to hit this real quick because I think some of you do have student loans. Know the difference between your federal and private loans. Pull out your phone, take a picture of this screen. I know we're out of time, but I'm going to hit two things: deferment and forbearance. Okay. Student loans are deferred, which means you don't have to pay till later. Student loans are deferred as long as you are a what? It's not student. Full-time student. Okay? What happens is during the semester, some folks drop a class or two and they go from full-time status to part-time status. You are no longer a full-time student. They're due. Okay? What you cannot do is not pay your student loans. Too many people get into trouble when their loans go into default. Guys, I can't stress enough. Student loans are one of the only things you can't add to a bankruptcy. You have to get a really good attorney. I got a buddy of mine. That's all he does in his practice is student loans. And we have good conversations about it all the time. But man, don't do it. If you feel you can't pay your loans, you pick up the phone, you call your loan company, and you ask, do they offer deferment or forbearance? What that means is you can temporarily stop your payments and they'll pick up later, 6 months down the line, year down, whatever. But if there's deferment, the only difference between the two, under deferment, they stop charging you interest. Under forbearance, they continue to charge interest even though you're not making payments. All right. But what you can't do is just not pay. All right. So that's it. I know we're out of time. If you want to come back on, any more questions before we wrap up?
There are a few questions.
Okay.
So the first one, going back to something you said earlier, What if you have a college credit card where you get money back? Will our credit score still drop once we close the account after graduating?
Yeah, but again, why would you close that credit card just because you graduated? If it's a true Visa or MasterCard, keep the card. The only time I suggest, and I don't even know if I wouldn't suggest it, but again, even if you were to apply for another card with the lower interest rate, that's usually when people move credit cards because this credit card interest rate is too high. I can get 0% interest over here for 18 months or do something better, but still pay that one off and just, again, we just talked about it, keep it open. Yeah, there's no need to close it. What else?
Is it a good idea to lock your credit?
Lock it how? With a key?
I know that I lock my credit on Experian and on,
Oh, you mean doing that? Yeah, like I said, again, you can lock it and do alerts. Those are very good because that way, in order for anybody to get it, it'll get caught. It'll be pulled up. And if you want to add something on your credit, you'll have to unlock it. So that's a great way to do it. Yes.
yeah, it's wonderful. Is it a good idea to get on your parents' credit?
Wonderful question. All right. Anybody? The shortest line between 2 points is, or shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? But what if you could go through a time warp and jump? What you're talking about is your parents adding you on their card as what's called, write this down, authorized user. All right, write that down. Your parents, I can add you as an authorized user. But here's how you got to be careful. Their payment history will show up on your credit report. My 13-year-old daughter and my 14-year-old daughter, they're going to have about 750 to 800 credit scores before they're 18 because I have them as authorized users on my credit. All right. That's how folks do it. The payment history shows up on your credit report. If they've had it for years and they're on time, that bumps your credit score up way high. But if they miss a payment and they have not so good credit history, that also shows up on your credit report. So be very careful when you have someone add you as an authorized user. It can hurt you as well as it can help you. Now, you all may see a lot of solicitations for people purchasing trade lines. That is somebody doing just that. They'll charge you $1,500 and they may add 3, 4, 5 different credit cards to your account to boost your credit report. But they only do it for maybe 6 months or something like that. And then they take you off. So again, they can do that as well, but you don't usually know who they are. You don't know what trade lines they have, and you got to pay a whole lot of money. You usually don't have to pay mom and daddy $1,500 to get on their cards. All right. What else? Can't hear you.
So we have an event. So I'm sorry that you're going to hear music in the background.
That's okay.
So what about student loans? Like if you pay off your loans, will your credit get better?
Yeah, anytime you pay any loans, your credit gets better. Just remember that most student loans, and this is where we get into the investment side, most student loans have low interest rates. If I have a 3% interest rate, I'm not going to rush to pay that off because I can earn more than 3% investing that money. So remember, but every person is different. Some people want that peace of mind knowing I no longer have student loans. So they would run and pay it off as fast as they can just so that they know I don't know anybody anymore. There are people that are like that. But then there are people like me that know I can invest and make more than 3%, and I can use what I earn to pay the 3%, and I still got money left over. But yes, paying on your student loans improves your credit.
The next question is, do you have to have credit to buy big things?
Yes. You don't, but it makes your life easy. So would I want to go buy a car and give them $40,000 cash? No. Again, I can take that 40,000 and buy a house, then turn it into an investment property and use my credit to buy that $40,000 car. The rent I collect from my investment property pays my car note, but I also have capital gain because that property value goes up. Again, you can buy a home, but do you really want to walk in with $300,000 cash to buy the house? So the answer is yes, but credit makes your life easier.
So
Excuse
the next
me.
question,
I'm sorry. Um, I was the young lady who asked about paying off student loans.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if I understand you 100%. Um, Earlier, I remember you said if you paid off your cards in closed accounts, that your credit score would go down. Is that not the same concept when it comes to
Yeah,
paying?
okay, so now I get you. So no, it's not the same. When you have a loan has a certain amount of payments before it's paid off, okay? So if I buy a car for 3, 4, 5 years and I'm done paying, there's no more payments. So that does not hurt your credit when you're done paying a loan. A credit card is different. A credit card is perpetual. It can stay open year after year after year after year after year. So when you close that type of account, that will hurt your credit. But student loan, any type of loan, signature loan, bank loan, student loan, car loan, home loan, when those loans are paid off, that will not hurt your credit. No.
Okay, thank you. And will it affect the? I know, like on Credit Karma, it says you've had credit for the longer you have it, the higher your score or the better you are. Will that
Yep.
hurt that or no?
No, remember that's 15% of your credit score, the length of time you've had an open line of credit. So that can actually help your credit. The longer you have credit established, the better it helps your credit.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. But just remember, pay on time. If you pay on time, you'll be good. You'll be fine.
next question is it smart to have multiple credit cards while in college?
Again, that is up to the individual. There are some of you who are very responsible, very organized. There are some of you who are not. I was one that was not. It was not a good thing for y'all to give me a whole bunch of credit cards because I went straight to the video game store. So if you are someone that is very responsible and can handle multiple credit cards, then I can't tell you no.
So the next question says, I got a credit card and I am going to pay it all off, but does it make more sense to only pay a portion of it off?
Good question. Remember I said everything on your credit takes place in how many days? 30 days. If you're someone who pays off your balance every month, remember, credit card companies only make money when they charge you interest. If you pay your balance off every month, you save money because they don't make any interest off of you. But it also doesn't show up on your credit report every 30 days. Remember that your billing cycle comes. So if I buy gas today with my card and I run home tomorrow or the next day and I pay it off, that never hits my billing cycle. So if you're trying to build your credit and have those monthly on-time payments, you may pay it down to $50 and then pay $10 a month. But you do want to make a monthly payment to show them a payment history. If you just pay it on time, pay the whole thing off every month, it's good for you because you don't pay interest, but it's not building that credit. So you have to figure out, what do I want to do right now? Save money or build up my credit score?
And then the three last questions, because we know you have to go as well. Can you get FICO credit through credit unions and banks? I see it on my credit card statement, see it on my bank statement. So
Yeah, like I said, if your bank or offers one of those services or something like that, and some banks do, some credit cards do offer services like that, then yes, you will get your FICO score. But for the average person to just say, I want to see my credit report and I want to know what my FICO score is, you'll have to pay for your FICO score. And I think it's like $8 or something like that.
yeah.
But also remember that score changes. So get your FICO score if you want to work on it and you got a while before you work on it, because there's no point in me just pulling my FICO score for the heck of it. I mean, it's going to change. So if you're also someone that's looking to go do something like buy a car, then yes, you may want to pull it to see what you're working with before you walk into that dealership.
So 70+% of our students are out of state. Someone's asking a question about airline credit cards. What's your take on airline credit cards, especially when you're flying back and forth as a student and as a family?
I mean, I love them. I want a Southwest family of friends or whatever the thing is, but you got to get 100,000 points. But one way that you do that is by using the card, not just flying. So that if you put all the stuff that you want, you build up points that way. But if they offer you things like free flights, free points, all that kind of stuff, then the answer is yeah, because those will be affinity cards. You're getting something in return. Some cards offer you cash back, some offer you flyer miles and all that kind of stuff. So the answer is yes, I love those, especially if you're already someone who's flying back and forth. Build up as many points and freebies as you can.
Can your
All right.
credit score go higher than 850?
I couldn't hear that.
We didn't hear your question.
Can-
Looks like you're having some technical difficulties.
Somebody's got an iPhone, I see.
She said, can your score go higher than 850?
Then 850, yes. I have a friend of mine, she called me the other day bragging about her 873. I'm like, all right.
Wow.
I mean, what you trying to buy? Body parts? You don't need it that high, but yeah, it can go higher than 850.
Oh, wow. Okay. So,
All right. So I'm finished with this. Before I wrap up, I always end with this. All of you are at an institution of higher learning, and you've all heard this phrase, knowledge is power, right? Okay. That's the biggest lie you've ever been told in your life. Knowledge is not power, it's potential power. If you have all the knowledge in the world, but you don't use it, how powerful are you? You're not. Use this information, guys. Pull your credit report today. Start saving your money, start putting money away and things like that. It's the same with your classes or anything else. You have to apply what you learn in order to have the power. All right. I appreciate your time. Love Tuskegee. You all have been great. If you have any other questions, she can get them to me. And we're also, again, she can tell you information about the workshop that does talk about investments coming up.
yes, so May 10th is the next workshop. It's called, well, I'll send it out to you. It is focused on upper class students, focused on money management and financial planning. So we do want to encourage you to participate. I will expand the actual session so that it allows for more than 300 people to participate. So please plan to join us. It is at 5 p.m. I will post it, send it out tonight, and hopefully we can get some good attendance. And Mr. Creighton will be the presenter again, so we're very happy about that. Let's give Mr. Creighton a round of applause. I think you can do it through the reactions. It was awesome. I learned a few things I didn't know, so we really appreciate you coming out, Mr. Creighton.
You are welcome, and I hope you all make all A's and have a fantastic rest of your college career. And hopefully I get to see some of you on the 10th. I'm gonna come with the thunder on the 10th. So if you want to know about investments, be there on the 10th.
Mr. Creighton, how long will you need to have adequate time to present the information on the 10th?
Again, just like this, it's up to you. Whatever you give me, I will work with, but usually an hour and a half. And the reason it's that because of the questions. But as you all just saw, we ran through an hour and 15 minutes just like that. There's a lot of information. It goes fast, but I'm there as long as the students have questions, and they're going to have questions. They're going to want to know about Robinhood, Bitcoin, and all the other stuff. So I'll be there to cover it. So normally an hour to an hour and a half works.
Great, thank you so much. And
You're
if you
welcome.
could on for a
Take
few
care.
minutes, I would appreciate it.
Is the thing on the 10th at 5 o'clock Central Time or Eastern Time?
It's all Central Time. It's 6 p.m. For him. He's on Eastern Standard, but it is 5 p.m. Central.
All right, thank you.
If you want to hold on, let me check to make sure I did save it, just in case. For some reason, I remember that we switched it.
I had a quick question. Is that also mandatory or voluntary?
So I would encourage you to attend, whether it's mandatory or voluntary. I understand you're getting extra points, but it's important information for you to know. So it is May 10th at 5 p.m. CST. So you'll have to ask your faculty member about the requirements.
Okay, I
And
will.
I'm sorry about the music in the background. We got a student program downstairs and they're having a good time.
I also have a question. How would I be able to access this recording after the session?
So Dr. Bromfield said that she would get it to the faculty members who will get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
How do we
Scott?
find out? How do we find out who our faculty member is?
I'm sorry?
How do we find out who who our faculty member is?
Are you in the orientation class? I hope you know who your faculty member is after almost, what? We're on week number 12.
This is the second thing that I've done, and I don't know that.
I don't have a faculty member. This session was sent to my email. So like I'm not in the orientation class at all. So
All right, so if you're not in the orientation class, send me an email, and when I get the link, I'll see what I can do.
okay, thank you.
Scott, I have a question regarding the information that you said you were going to send out by last Friday or Monday of this week, the latest, regarding the session that we had on last week. It was the information session with housing and
Yes, so I am minus an administrative assistant and got 3 new staff members, so I'm a little bit behind, but we're working on it, so we should be able to finish it this Friday.
Okay, thank you. And also for the incoming freshmen, are we already entered into the orientation class or no?
No, ma'am. We sent it to the prospective students and also parents in case they were interested in attending. So this was not a part of your orientation class. We will be releasing information for new and transfer students that talks about the summer orientation, which gives you information to transition into the institution. In addition to that, you will get information about the welcome week activities, arrival date and times, etc. So this was not an orientation class for our new and transfer students, but the students that did come today that were required for their first year orientation, they're a different group of people who were here as well.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't missed anything. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I did have one more question. Sorry. Oh, Lord, I just lost it just like that quickly. Do you know which faculty member this video will go to in regards to the veterinary medicine students? Because
I can send it to Dr. Perry and your student services person. I do recall that they were sending vet med first year students.
okay.
But if you want to send me an email, I can send it directly to you as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. I am going to end the section. Thank you so much for everyone.
Dr. Scott, I
Yes.
really would like to, this is Dr. Aglen. I'd like to thank you for a very successful session. And
Oh, no. Thank you for suggesting it, Dr. Aglen. This
noticed
was
that we have
absolutely
about
fabulous.
300.
Well, I think there would have been more. We should have increased the license. I got a bunch of emails I responded to. It seems like there were probably about 38 more that said that they were not able to get into the session.
Yeah, thank you very much. Excellent. This is excellent.
Okay. I think we have to thank Dr. Bromfield and all of our orientation instructors who encouraged the students to attend and offered the extra credit. I thought it was an absolutely fabulous session. And as Mr. Creighton said, if somebody had gave this to him as a first year student, you know, he's very successful now, but he would have been successful earlier. So thank you to everyone for coming out. I do encourage you to join the session on May 10th. That's not next week, it's the week after. So I promise you it will be good. You saw how excellent of a presenter he was, very thorough and knowledgeable. So I think we'll all learn quite a bit in the next session. So I will increase the license so that we can have up to 1,000 people participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.